Well, I think when it comes down to chipping, obviously practice is important, but you still have to practice on the right things. I think trying to make sure you use the bounce of the club. That's why they make it. You know, sometimes a lot of people and even professionals, we forget that the bounce is there to use it, and we tend to drag it a little bit too much and use too much of the leading edge, and then if you don't catch it perfectly, then it becomes too difficult. So making sure that you release that right hand at impact and use that bounce, feel that bounce hitting the floor, hitting the ground, and usually if you do that, you're not going to take much of a divot, so it's going to be more of a sweep kind of stroke, and that's going to give you a little bit of consistency. To increase the power with your driver, I think for me there's a couple of things I like to do. I think that when I try to hit a ball harder, I try to do my backswing at a lower speed. So then, you know, I can really time it well, I get to the top, and from there I can really generate speed. You know, sometimes you see people trying to hit it hard and they speed up their backswing, then they have to stop and then have to start over again. So I think for me, when you try to hit it hard, you slow down the backswing, so then once you get to the top, you can really unload it. I think when it comes down to reading greens, it's just some people read them better than others. I think that the other thing you can do is, some people like to look at it from different sides, and I like to look at it from behind and from the side. And then the main thing you have to look, it's, you know, kind of like, usually, unless it's a really long putt, like the middle part of the putt is the most important thing. It's where probably most of the break is going to be. So depending on how much break you see there on that middle last third of the putt, depending on how much break you see is how high or how straight of the hole you should go. You know, striking the ball as well as possible with your irons. I think probably one of the most important things is to be very balanced on your swing. If you want good strikes on your irons, to have a good rhythm on your swing and to be very balanced. You know, if you're falling off every time you're hitting, usually it's going to be difficult to be consistent with your strike. So the more balanced you can be, the better. Usually when it comes down to a slice, it's going to be depending on a couple of things. One can be your setup can be a little bit too open, so that's gonna make you come with a little bit of an open face at impact. So if you can square up, maybe close down a little bit, that obviously helps. And then it's just a matter of working a little bit on your release. I think an easy fix usually for a slice, it's if you have like a little bit of an upslope on your range, and you can practice a little bit with the ball a little bit above your feet. You know, that's going to help you kind of flatten out the swing and release it a little bit better. Sometimes the amateurs, they look at us, you know, hitting shots out of the trees and things like that, and they think that you know, that those shots are easy. So I think at the end of the day, it's important to realize your limitations, and sometimes it's better to just chip out and, you know, and say, well, you know, let's make a bogey and whatever, than trying to hit a cavalier shot and you hit the trees, it goes back in there, then you're trying to get it out, you can't get it out, and you end up making a double or a triple. So sometimes, unless it's a shot that you can really see and it is a fairly easy shot, you know, sometimes it's better to take your medicine, maybe chip out, try to get on the green, maybe make par or maybe make bogey at the worst, and kind of move on. Bunker play for me, something that I think is very important, I've always considered very important, is to make sure that you have speed through the ball. Obviously when you're in a bunker, it's important to cut sand, but if you have speed, you can get through the sand. Sometimes you see amateurs kind of stopping on the shot, and then the sand takes over and you can't get the ball out. So I think it's important to make sure you have a nice explosion, and you know, a little bit of sand, but more than anything, just make sure you keep that speed going through the shot. Holding out from, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all confidence. It's kind of reading the putt, being confident with your read, and just being committed to what you're doing. It's as simple as that. There's nothing else to it, really. The only thing that's going to bring more spin with your wedges is good contact and speed on your swing. I think that the softer you hit it, usually the less spin you create. So obviously it's going to be tough. If you have a 30-yard shot, it's going to be tough to create a lot of spin unless you open the face and you swing quite fast at it. You know, the longer the shot gets, a little bit more speed you get, then it's easy to spin it a bit more. Nerves mean, a little bit of nerves means that you care, that you want to do well. At the end of the day, it's just being as committed as possible to whatever you want to do. So pick your line, commit to that line, commit to the shot you want to hit. It's easier said than done, obviously, because the ball is still, and we're, you know, our brains they can't stop thinking. But you know, you just try to do that, and then if you committed to that, usually you're going to be a lot smoother. Your swing is going to be, you know, there's not going to be many doubts, and you can kind of hit it more or less the way you want to. So, you know, it's important to stick to a nice pre-shot routine. For me, it's one swing behind the ball, kind of walk into it, set up, a couple waggles, and hit it. Kind of like that.